Hello, I'm Evan Brand, board certified holistic nutritionist and certified functional medicine practitioner. Let's talk about people that are bored. I can't tell you. I remember being in college talking with people that were saying, I'm bored. I'm just bored all the time. It's so exhausting to hear people that are bored. Life is so exciting. There's so much to do. How could you possibly be bored? Well, it might not just be them. It might not just be that's their personality. There's probably a deeper root cause, like with most health issues and most health symptoms. Like depression, for example, it's not a disease. It's a symptom of an underlying issue. And I say this with personal experience, someone who dealt with depression. And sometimes depression and boredom can go hand in hand with each other. Some of the symptoms that people would experience if they're deficient in catecholamines. This is your norepinephrine, this is your epinephrine, this is your dopamine. These are various neurotransmitters / hormones. If you're deficient in catecholamines, you're going to be bored. You might have a lack of focus, concentration. You may have been diagnosed with ADD, attention deficit, or you may just self-diagnose yourself with attention deficit. Lack of drive and energy. You just have no oomph to do anything. This is affecting the younger generation a lot. I've talked with so many parents that I work with who are concerned about their children because they're addicted to their iPads or they're addicted to their video games, and that's all they do. They have no drive. They don't even clean their room. They have no interest in getting a girlfriend or getting a boyfriend or getting a job and tackling the world. They're just numb. Depression comes along with this, and then crave pick-me-ups. So people that are eating Cheetos and Starbucks. You see teenagers now. When I was a teenager, when you were a teenager, you probably didn't go to a coffee shop and get a giant Frappuccino loaded with sugar. And this is becoming the norm now. And this is scary because we're trying to modify our neurotransmitters. We're trying to modify and artificially boost up these catecholamines as opposed to eating a nutrient-dense diet that has good proteins and good fats and getting good sleep and making sure that we have healthy relationships and we're not addicted to social media and other sorts of internet addiction that we'll talk about in video games. These things can deplete catecholamines, and especially if you've got a dietary deficiency where you're not eating good proteins, which contain amino acids, the raw materials, the building blocks for your catecholamines, well, you're going to struggle. So if you've got somebody, I'm bored, or you're bored, well, here's the solutions. How to restore catecholamines. One is going to be an amino acid called L-tyrosine. Now, tyrosine is an amino acid that is the precursor, meaning think of the spark plug. You mix the gasoline, boom, you've got combustion. Tyrosine is going to act as the precursor to help manufacture dopamine and your catecholamines, which also includes the norepinephrine, epinephrine. You've got DLPA. Now, sometimes with tyrosine, people feel a little bit overstimulated. I feel pretty darn good with tyrosine, but not everyone does. If you don't feel well with tyrosine and you've got some other issues on top of these symptoms like emotional sensitivity, you tear up or you cry easily, you watch a sappy commercial and you cry and you shouldn't be crying because it wasn't that sappy, that's a sign that you're also depleted in your endorphins. You may benefit more from DLPA, which stands for D-L-phenylalanine. That's going to act as a precursor, once again, to build these back up. Then you've got remove caffeine. A lot of people, they use coffee as a crutch. They cannot do without their coffee. I guarantee if we ran an organic acids test on them, we looked at their dopamine, noradrenaline, adrenaline, they're going to be deficient in catecholamines. I say this because I joke with my friends, my wife all the time, like, what would you guys do without your coffee? And a lot of people, they say, oh, I'd be fine, or I could go without it, but who knows if they could actually do that. Then you've got the addictions. So these are the addictions that have to be fixed, at least worked on if you really want to have long-lasting success without being bored all the time, therefore signifying catecholamine deficiency. So social media is huge. If you're the type of person that goes from Facebook and then you go to your Instagram app and then you go to your Twitter app and then you go to your YouTube app and then you go to your email and you cycle back through, we know, we've seen it with functional MRIs, that the brain lights up when we look at social media. And so if you're constantly getting that little artificial dopamine boost and that's what you're dependent on, some people, they have to roll over, which is not even good to have your cell phone by your head for other reasons that we'll chat about in another video. Some people I've talked with, they roll over and they start scrolling on their phone. Before they can even get out of bed, they've got to check Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Okay, I've got some dopamine. Let's get out of bed. Let's start the day. That's not good. Porn. So pornography, same thing. You look at rat studies, you're going to see that dopamine's going to bump, 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 bump every time you are introduced to a new man or woman via pornography. Dopamine's going to go up. It's a crutch. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's a crutch. So you've got to evaluate all your crutches. Sugar, we already talked about that. Sugar's going to definitely elevate dopamine. There's nothing more profound than sugar. Not even cocaine, which is on this list as well. You give a rat the choice between cocaine and sugar, they're going to go for the sugar every time. It creates more dopamine than even cocaine. Heroin, same thing. Heroin epidemic is real. It's big. It's worth mentioning. Coffee, we already talked about that. Methamphetamine. Interestingly enough, for all of these symptoms, what's conventional medicine going to do for you? They're going to give you Adderall. Adderall is not very different than methamphetamine if you look at the molecular structure. Very similar, it's almost legal meth. These symptoms, you get this, that's not good. You could just go for these amino acids instead. Cannabis, same thing. Starches, so this is your potatoes, this is your potato chips, your French fries, your Cheetos, your Doritos. Starch addiction, deficient in catecholamines. Lastly, chocolate. Chocolate's good. I love dark chocolate, but the problem is the more dark, the more organic and raw you go with your cacao, the more stimulating it can be, the more addicting it can be. A square or two a day is not going to hurt you, but if you're eating a chocolate bar every day, that's something to address. I hope this was helpful. If you'd like to schedule a functional medicine consult with me, discuss your health symptoms, maybe some of these symptoms and your goals, just click on screen. We'll chat soon. Take care. Bye-bye.